Good afternoon. Welcome to Carnegie for Sioux Falls City Council informational meeting. Tuesday, May 12th. We appreciate everybody's interest, whether you're here in Carnegie or watching on CityLink or on the internet. Thank you for your interest in our government. Call our meeting to order and begin with a report from our fiscal committee. I believe Councilor Erickson has a report for us.
Yes, we last week we discussed the public facility fee. Those that are on the audit committee, we had the audit report, went over the audit report, and then we had a presentation from Jim David and then discussed that into a little bit further detail. At this point, Chair of Fiscal requested to have a look at the management agreements and come back the next month to discuss further as far as what changes we want to have made to the ordinance, because clearly we need to have some changes made based out of what came out of the audit recommendation. So we will be discussing again next month as far as potential changes.
Thank you, Councilor Erickson. Questions for Councilor Erickson on the fiscal committee report? All righty. Open discussion. Council, time. Anybody have any topic subject for the open discussion? All righty. We have two presentations today. First, we are privileged to have with us the co-presidents of the Washington Pavilion of Arts and Science, and I believe we have our annual update, and Scott Peterson is going to lead us off in this. So welcome, Mr. Peterson.
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. This is my second year at the Washington Pavilion, and it's been an honor and a pleasure to be there. Since I made it through probation after 12 months, Larry and I, we went to our COBRO 2.0 organizational structure, where Larry took the north side of the building, I took the south side. We figured we should divide and conquer. Since it does take two white-haired guys to do one job, we needed all the help we could get. Larry's the north side, which is the Visual Arts Center, the Community Learning Center, Development, PR, and Government Affairs, because from the north side you can actually see City Hall and the council chambers here. I took the south side, which is the Science Center, Performing Arts Center, Marketing, Operations, and so I'd like to give you a couple of highlights about what happened in the south side of the building last year and so far this year. So first of all, just as speaking as a relatively newcomer to the pavilion, I think we continue to take great care and enhance the facility that the city owns. We do certainly appreciate support you give us from the capital improvement and the OSEP programs. Last year with CIP, we enhanced the entrance to the Visual Arts Center, improved the facility by about $90,000 there, clearly enhanced the access and the visibility of the Arts Center, replaced the Cinedome to a tune of about a $90,000 investment. That did not come from new funds, even though it was unexpected. We rearranged funds within our overall adjustment there. And then we did finish off the expansion of the South Dakota African American History Museum, which the fundings were made available at the end of last year. That just got wrapped up about 30 to 45 days ago, and you see a lot of people in the back hallway looking at the expanded exhibit and the information there. This year, the main things that will be happening, the big one is right on top. We're repairing the roof, the entire facility. That's going through the bid process now in conjunction with, or will soon be going through bid process with the city purchasing group. Carpet replacement program will be starting. There's a 3-year program. About $300,000 will be invested this year. All of this is original materials from 15, 16 years ago when the pavilion was first put in place. Sculpture garden will be enhanced according to the plan. Larry will address that in a little bit. And then at the Science Center, I just wanted to focus on that for a second. As part of the CIP program, we are starting the refresh program. So when the pavilion was opened in 1999, the technology we had was state-of-the-art in 1999. A lot of things have changed in the world of technology and science since that part of time. Next week, hopefully you receive an email announcement that a week from today we're going to do an open house for our new stage science area. Gives us the opportunity to continue to keep fresh with our programming, where we do interactive demonstrations and science experiments with an overhead camera and display, so kids and their families can really see what's happening there. Avera is sponsoring that area of the Science Center for the next 3 years on a very generous sponsorship with a focus on genomics, which we think is important to the city and going forward here in this area. Next is air and space. There is a design contract already in place with ARC Inc. So as we end this year, we'll be doing at least the first phase of upgrading air and space. The space shuttle is our lead technology right now at the Science Center for air and space. That, of course, program has been terminated by NASA. So we clearly need to kind of bring that up to with new concepts and new exhibits. So we have about $200,000 to invest this year. We have more requests in for the CIP program over the next several years. So we certainly would hope for your support in that area. It's very important to keep it fresh. Speaking of fresh, we're also continuing to keep what we're hoping is the pavilion brand fresh and engaging to our community. You'll probably have seen in some of our marketing materials, we're rolling out a kind of a new look and feel. It's a more modern look, more conversational, I would say, from that standpoint. We continue to focus on ownership of the community. We're talking about also experience. So experience your Washington Pavilion. So that is the tagline that is being refreshed and broadened forward. And of course, with the programs, we continue to book some of the great national shows that are touring the country. Last year, of course, Jersey Boys, I think, was a home run for the entire community, brought a lot of people in from out of town with their tax dollars. This year, coming up, we'll have Pippin also once in 42nd Street, so it continued to do very well there. Any questions? Any questions at this point? Otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to my co-bro, Larry Toll.
Council, would it be okay if we probably did them both and then? No. No?
Yeah, that's
yes?
fine.
Okay, very
let's
good.
do it that way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Toll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the council. Larry Toll, one of the other co-president. Scott had mentioned the sculpture garden, and you can't get any farther north on the north side than the sculpture garden. We're working with the city and with design people to open, refresh that. I think the design concepts we're working with right now will open that up, and I think will be a really great addition to downtown. So that continues onward. Education is a big part of what we do. We usually provide educational input to at least 35,000 people a year, and this year is no different. We have 20 sites where we do after-school programs, and so every week during the school year, we have instructors in those 20 schools either doing science or art. So that continues on. We've already got 1,200 kids signed up for summer camps and classes, which is a little ahead of where we were last year, and we've got a few more camps and classes to add, so we're really looking forward to that. I think all of you have a copy of the statement of activities, the operating fund that we provided, and let me just go through that fairly quickly for you. City funding looks like it's up a little. One of the changes we made in 2014 is rather than put the traveling shows that we brought in, and last year it was Hands-On Harley-Davidson for in the Science Center, rather than do that through the OSEP, the money was actually changed to operating, and so the cost of that the shipping and the rental is included in that city funding line, along with the CPI adjustment last year, which I think was 1.5%. You'll see the Mary W. Somerville Hall contributions. This will be the last year we'll see any. That $10,000 was the last pledge that was outstanding, so that will go away. Business contributions stayed up very nicely. Endowment went down, but that was only because we took 4% from the Sioux Falls Area Community Foundation versus 5% the year before. The big line, of course, is admissions and ticket sales, and that's Jersey Boys. The Jersey Boys was a $903,000 total revenue to the pavilion, and so all of the revenue of that appears in that one line. If you go down to special events, that looks like it went down a little. We cut back from three special events in 13 to 2 in 14, so it still is a good, strong line there. Down on the expense side, you'll see most of the big increases you'll see there are also effective of Jersey Boys. Salaries and wages, that's a lot of additional stagehands that we had. And then when you get down to program expenses, a lot of that is also Jersey Boys. When you look at outside services, we've had a couple contracts that are coming to an end that we brought people in to help us through areas where we needed some specific help. And so in the bottom line of it all, we have positive bottom line, 5 years in a row now, 1,528. That is 0.02%. So when I've talked about thin margins in the past, they don't get any thinner than that. But fortunately, it's still in the black, thank God. As you see on the sheet, it says unaudited. These numbers have gone through the audit committee. The audit committee has suggested approval. It will go to executive finance this Thursday, and then assuming they approve it, it will go on to the Board of Trustees a week from today. And once that's final, we'll get a final copy of the audit to the city clerk's office for anybody to look at the entire audit. Just a couple things to remind you of. The Science Center last year, we had 48 states come through the Science Center in 7 Canadian provinces. And when we did Jersey Boys, I think I shared it with all of you, but we had, out of the 11,843 tickets, 54% of that came from Sioux Falls, 34% came from another 182 South Dakota cities, and we had 32 states and 4 tickets sold in Canada. So still a huge draw from across the country. So Scott and I stand for any questions you may have of us.
Okay, Council, now we'll go to questions. Councilor Rolfing, I think you were first.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Scott or Larry. Number of people that went through in total, number of people we served at the pavilion.
Roughly 350,000.
Okay.
If you've ever been to Sidewalk Arts, you understand how difficult it is to count those, but we estimate about 42,000, yeah.
A little hard to do that, right? Okay.
Councilor Staggers.
Yeah, I got a couple questions for Larry about the sculpture garden. I'm trying to recall, did we authorize 300,000 last year?
A little over 200,000 for this year, yes.
Oh, for this year.
Yeah.
And you're not asking for any more for the sculpture garden there?
We have some in the OSEP plan for 2020. 2020? Yeah. So in talking with the city, they said to make this efficient, maybe we should bring that back into 2016 and release a bid at the end of this year that would incorporate both of those. But that has not been approved by the City Council yet.
Okay, so how much are we ultimately going to be spending on the sculpture garden?
You know, if you did everything that's in the plan today, and if the estimates are right, and it would be in the range of $800,000. But we are in fact cutting back on a number of those things. This has all the bells and whistles, and we've obviously already started that process to say, what do we want to do? But the other thing we're going to also do is look for contributions in the construction side of it, so that we can bring that cost down as well and still end up with an end product that everyone would be proud of.
And then also, too, let me mention, when you talk about admissions and ticket sales, I think that's wonderful. Is there any way that in the future we could focus on getting more money out of admissions and ticket sales? This is,
yeah,
congratulations.
Obviously, we get about 32% of our total revenue comes from ticket sales. There are organizations like ours, the Dallas Art Museum did this, they stopped charging for admissions. 98% of their money comes from endowment and contributions. So they were only getting 2%, so they were given the sleeves out of their vest. We need to, obviously, we look very, very hard at ticket sales, and we're working very hard right now in membership, increasing the numbers we have in membership, because that brings more people in. So yeah, we focus hard on it, but it's, you know, the city's contribution is 20-some%, I want to say about 22% of our budget. Ticket sales are about 30-some%. We do with sponsorships, donations, contributions, that adds about another 20% to our budget, and then rentals and other things make up the rest of the.
So I think it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Other questions? Councilor Anderson.
Larry, last year the council allocated some money to try an energy efficient program at the pavilion. Could you give us an update on that?
Yes, I believe the amount was about $55,000. We've taken it out to engineering firms to try to do a request for, to make sure that it's feasible. And the feasibility study is saying basically we don't think we can save any money. And if that's the case, obviously we're not going to spend the money.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one question. The sculpture garden, is that open to the public? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, it's basically one of our galleries, and it's an outside gallery.
Is there an admission charge?
No, anybody can walk in there. What we want to do is make it more, we'd love to see people come in the summer, and the whole theory is we're going to put some seating in it, and so that we have a place for the public downtown to come, have their lunch. We're going to also work on, then once we get that finished, once the vision is complete, we're going to start working on getting money donated or sculptures donated from people, because sculptures are unbelievably expensive, unfortunately.
Could you take your lunch from Leonardo's over to the sculpture garden?
Yep, certainly, yeah. But we've done some things where we tried to get people in it one year by doing an ice cream social out there in the afternoon and invited all the downtown businesses. Yeah, it's a hidden treasure, and we're going to open that up, and I think you're going to be very proud of it, and it will become an oasis downtown.
Thank you. Councilor Anderson?
Back to the same question, Larry. If that program has been deemed unable to use, is that money going to be returned, or is it going to be utilized for another project?
I believe if we don't spend it, I believe it just comes back to the city.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Councilor Kiley?
Thank you. First of all, great job of staying within budget. That's wonderful to see, and I commend you for that. And besides the obvious benefits of educational and entertainment and cultural benefits, I mean, there's obviously other economic benefits that the city of Sioux Falls reaps from this as well. Can you address any of those?
Sure. Thank you for the question. Certainly, on performance nights, it's obvious downtown gets very busy. We've restaurants and the beverage locations, either before or afterwards, report to us. They clearly sense when there's things that are happening at the pavilion from that perspective. I would also let you know there are a lot of events that happen in the pavilion. So internally, we talk about pillars. So we have our science pillar, our performing arts pillar, visual arts pillar in learning, but also the fifth pillar we talk about is events. We have award ceremonies of a variety of types, various weddings happen throughout the summer and the fall when the hall is not busy for those. Even in the hallways we have weddings. So there's other revenues that we try to generate from just not the basics, but trying to figure out how we can market the facility better and generate more revenues for the overall support. But it is the ticketing. So with Jersey Boys and other things that for weekend entertainment, travelers coming to Sioux Falls, with the hotel taxes and the other things that happen there, it's hard for us to calculate that kind of impact or return. But there was a study not too long ago.
And that's a good point, too, because I was going to bring up the travelers, the people from out of town that are coming in town.
The Americans for the Arts we worked with them to do an economic impact study about 4 years ago, I think it was. And it said the arts generate about $35 million worth of economic development in Sioux Falls, and we're about 20 million of that. So as people come to town, Jersey Boys, I was sitting outside on the sidewalk watching people on one of the days going from restaurant to restaurant trying to get in, and they couldn't understand why they couldn't get in. But it was a day we had both a matinee and an evening show, and so the people going to the matinee had made reservations. They ate early. The people that were coming, it was just every restaurant downtown was packed, and so you can really see that. And those same places can tell when we're having problems with the show because they don't get as booked. So.
Right. And just one other question. You'd mentioned that we will be shifting focus. For instance, right now that one of the exhibits is focusing on the space shuttle program, and we're shifting focus, I believe, to genomics, the genome program. How does that work? I mean, what do we do to recycle the existing exhibits? what do we do with those? Are we leasing them currently? Are we?
Well, they're actually a city asset. They're owned by
Okay.
the city. As part of the assets. So we also have on our science board, we have a woman who was with the Eros and what's the Geological Society for many, many years, retired. She's working with us to make contacts now back into NASA, looking for items that might be available today, also working with universities across the country on things we might be able to, they can do for us that we could actually exhibit and present to our local students in the area. So I would say genomics it will be mostly focused in that stage area where interactive demonstrations and while the air and space is the core of the second floor, kind of the main entry, and that will continue to have, robotics are becoming very large with that, with rovers, drones, all those kinds of things. So we're thinking about those things that might spark the imagination of students and their families at the pavilion.
I'm looking forward to what you bring in genomics-wise, because you're right. That's already having a huge impact on our medical facilities here, as well as agriculture and animal science as well too. So very interested.
Well, and as you talk about agriculture, we've always done an Ag Day, and this year what we did was we were at about 1,500 on the Saturday, and so we stepped out and we went to the educators and said, tell us what's a good age group to hit on agriculture issues, and they said 3rd grade. And so we talked to our people that come in and our sponsors and said, would you like to do something on Friday just for 3rd graders? And I think we had 500 3rd graders, which that filled up immediately, and so we continued to do that, and then we had 2,000 people on Saturday. So it was a great turnout for that.
One more last comment on that. As we look to 3rd floor, so 2nd floor is the main entrance. 3rd floor, the strategic plan, as we're talking, as the science board is talking amongst themselves, is getting regional companies, technology and science companies involved in showcasing their technologies or something that's highly relevant, which then drives learning and also workforce development and sponsorship from those organizations. So it also is a funding source to help us continue to move and sustain our financial.
I agree. I was focusing in on the workforce development aspect of that as soon as you said it. Good job. Thank you.
Councilor Rolfing.
So as long as everything is going to the science and all that, and we're moving things toward that 2nd floor where that big lobby is and everything, when are the escalators going in?
Your question.
Since I've handled that question, I believe on the OSEP, yes, it's on OSEP or CIP budget. I believe it's in 2018.
Oh, it's 18. Okay,
Yeah.
I was thinking it was next year.
Yeah, not up yet.
Councilor Anderson.
Larry, speak to the Visual Arts Center, how that is operating, the cost of admission, things like that.
The Visual Arts Center, after Arts Night in 2014, our then current Visual Arts Center director, David Murrab, came and said, I'm leaving to become the executive director of the Brookings Chamber of Commerce. And after having driven 100 miles or more every day to come to work, I think it was probably a really good move on his part. But we hired Kara Dirksen, if you happen to know Kara, and Kara has brought a fresh look. In the interim, Sheila Agee, if you know Sheila, when the Civic Fine Arts Center was in this building, Sheila was the executive director, and she came to us and said, I'd like to be, I'd offer my services as an interim if you'd like. And so she came in and started helping us really look to where we were going to go and how we were going to get there. Kara has come on board, and we've kept Sheila on an advisory role to help Kara through some of the issues. But we're getting through, we've just gone through a documentation of all of our permanent collection, a little over 1,600 pieces. That's all being entered on a computer, and we'll have documentation on that, and we'll start the curatorial process in ensuring that the pieces that we have are well maintained. We obviously have the space that's conditioned for them, but we're spending more time cataloging those and looking at those pieces. In the galleries themselves, we've opened a variety of new galleries, new concepts. On the first second floor, as you walk in, there is a contemporary gallery, one of the first. The children's studio is there, and we upgraded that a couple years ago with some foundation money that we got. The contemporary gallery will show kind of recent art. We just had the Arts Night show in there. The other two galleries, we will always have part of our permanent collection being shown, and the other one is the Native American Gallery. So that makes up second floor. On third floor, the Everest Gallery will continue to be kind of the big shows, and we'll continue working on that. The corner gallery, which is in that far northwest corner, is where we have put, right now the AARP is a sponsor of that gallery, and they did a thing called, there was a national boomers list, 19 people, one for each of the years 46 to 64. They did the same thing here in Sioux Falls, and if you walked in there, I think you'd probably recognize 15 or 16, maybe all 19 of the people that they honored by year. So, and Kello did a clip on it, so we're playing the clip in there. We've got all the information on that. So that's the current show in the corner gallery. And then we have what we call the county lines, which is the smaller, if you take the elevator up onto the third floor and come out, that will be county lines. That will always be an artist from somewhere in the area that we're showing. And then back behind that on the north side, far northeast side, is another contemporary gallery too, which will be contemporary artists. So we change each of those galleries over about 3 to 4 times a year. So we'll be always bringing new art in. And the Arts Night was a week ago, the first Saturday in May, and we had a very good arts night, spirited bidding, a lot of fun, and we raised a lot of good money for the Arts Center. And each one of our galleries has a sponsor as well. The charging, if you can't figure out how to get in free, I think so far this year we have probably got $1,400 in revenue. But for instance, if you know Bob and Kathy Leach, they sponsor a gallery. With their sponsorship, all military and all college students get in free. We have another anonymous couple, they go by Feeble Moose, all children get in free. We also have some sponsored by businesses, Sioux Falls, Ford, and Lincoln. So they pass out free cards to all of their customers, employees. Citibank has the Everest, all their employees and one guest get in free, and of course they bring their kids in, their kids get free. So we're seeing a lot more people. This is really a co-marketing more than anything, and it's really, it's fun to watch what's happening. I'm glad you asked.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, we appreciate you being here today. Thank you very much. Always very informative. And we will then now go into our next presentation on top 10 sustainability projects, and I think Mark Cotter is going to kick us off on this. Welcome, Mark.
All right, thank you, Council Chair and Council members. Today we have a real champion to showcase the top 10 sustainability projects that we're embarking on. I think it's safe to say the fact that we're growing by 3,000 people per year, it's more important than ever that we really consider the resources that we use to sustain that development as we envision and design a sustainability community. So without further ado, Jessica Lantgen has been promoted to our sustainability coordinator position, and she'll take you through the presentation. Thanks.
Thank you very much, and welcome, Jessica.
Got one more handout for you all.
Jim David can help you out. Good.
Hi. As Mark said, my name is Jessica Lantgen. I'm the Sustainability Coordinator for the City of Sioux Falls. I'm very excited to be presenting my top 10 projects with you all today. So when I was promoted as Sustainability Coordinator in November, the mayor asked me to jot down my top 10 projects. And I presented these to the Public Works Division managers and then on to the mayor and the city directors, and then he asked me to present them to you today. So we'll go through each of these. These have been prioritized by the managers within Public Works. So we're starting from the bottom of the list and we're going to move our way up. I'll just give you a pretty brief overview of each of the projects, and then I look forward to your questions afterwards. So the number 10 project is this SD 319 I&E Outreach Grant, which is our pet waste program. We received a grant in 2014 and in 2015 from the South Dakota Discovery Center. The grant is focused on water quality for the Big Sioux River. So pet waste is not just a nuisance for when you're out at the park or trying to enjoy time outside. It's a source of water pollution for the Big Sioux River. As the pet waste decomposes, it depletes the water of oxygen, it increases nutrients in the water, and it also carries bacteria and parasites. So in an effort to improve our water quality within the Big Sioux River, we established this pet waste program last year. The first year we received the grant, we focused the grant dollars on public education. So we had this billboard that you see up there, and we spent a lot of time at dog-themed events. So an example would be each in May, each Thursday in May, we have what's called a Yappy Hour at Spencer Dog Park. So we go to all those, bark in the park and swimming down to the dogs. This year, with the money that we were awarded, we are installing 24 pet waste stations along the bike trail. These stations will make it more convenient for people to pick up after their pet, and will hopefully keep our parks and our river clean. Our number 9 project is a downtown green infrastructure grant. City Council approved to make the Main Avenue road diet permanent last year, and I saw this as an opportunity to add some green infrastructure downtown. So green infrastructure uses natural systems to help filter the pollution out of our water. We met with engineering and Confluence, and 2 projects were selected that have the potential to work along with the Main Avenue road diet. The one you see here is a tree grate, so the rainwater, instead of washing over the pavement and picking up those pollutants and ending up in our storm drains and then eventually into the Big Sioux River, this would collect the rainwater and send it through a natural filtering system through the rocks and the sand that would also help to allow those trees to grow more mature. It would also make Main Avenue more of a walkable city. Right now we are mining for grants for this project, so hopefully we'll be able to implement this along with the Main Avenue road diet. Number 8, Darren Freeze is going to present at the Public Services Committee meeting about our 12 years look back of our water conservation program. And he and I were working on this, and as we noticed that there may be some areas within our plumbing rebates that we may have missed. So with our plumbing rebate program, with the toilet rebates, a resident who has a toilet that was built before 1982 can apply for a rebate to replace that toilet with 1.6 gallons per flush or lower toilet, and then receive a rebate from the City of Sioux Falls on their water bill. And this is an excellent program, and Darren's going to go into more of the benefits of this, but because it does require that initial investment in purchasing the toilet, we were concerned that some of the residents here in Sioux Falls may not be able to take advantage of that program. So we were looking at, maybe language barriers or the elderly or low-income families, where it'd be difficult to not only make that initial investment, but also apply for the rebate and go to the store and purchase the toilets and install them. So we partnered with Community Development, who has the Single Family Rehabilitation Program, and this program helps residents who have a gross family income of lower than 80% of the median family income. So for example, a family of 2 would have to earn less than, I think, $45,000 a year to be eligible for this program. The program helps them with furnace replacement, electrical replacement or repairs, things like that. And so we ask Community Development, as they go into these homes for the Single Family Rehabilitation Program, if they notice a toilet that is pre-1982, if they could let us know, and then we would provide them with a WaterSense toilet for free. This would come out of our water conservation budget. Toilets that were manufactured before 1982 averaged 3.5 gallons per flush or more. So by taking those out, we're really able to save a lot more water. And this program allows people who may not have been able to take advantage of the plumbing rebate program to have the same benefits. The Solid Waste Planning Board 2015 priorities was another one of our ongoing projects. Solid Waste Planning Board is the largest mayor-appointed board, and it advises the mayor on the current and the existing and future waste stream, recycling, ways to divert or reduce the amount of waste that we send to the landfill. This board, due to some staff turnover, hadn't met since May of 2014. So we met for the first time in 2015 in January. We asked the board to bring forward some goals that they would like the board to work on in 2015 to really fulfill the purpose of the board. 10 or I think 11 goals were put forward by the public and by board members, and our meeting a couple weeks ago at our second quarter meeting, we narrowed those down to 3 goals for the board to focus on. Establishing a set schedule, and that comes, off of not being able to meet for such a long time. We're now meeting the last Tuesday of the first quarter of each month, first month of each quarter. Sorry. We have a set schedule, and then we're also going to evaluate the waste minimization goals of the Sustainability Master Plan, where we are within that plan for our waste minimization goals, and how to accomplish the goals that we haven't yet, and then reevaluate the makeup of the board. The board has 15 board members, and it is, like I said, the largest board. So we're taking a look at what each member on that board represents and how they're able to advance our waste minimization goals. Number 6 is the neighborhood LED streetlight pilot, and we'll be having a press conference about this next week, but to give you a little bit of a preview, we've identified 6 pilot areas within Sioux Falls where we will be installing 65 LED streetlights. The LED streetlights are, obviously, they use about 50% less energy. They also provide a brighter, wider light. And it is our goal to eventually switch out all streetlights in Sioux Falls to LED streetlights, but we're starting with this pilot program. In November of 2014, we installed 9 LED streetlights at Lake Lorraine, and we're able to meter each of those streetlights and see how much energy they use. We're able to calculate that each LED light at Lake Lorraine uses 15 cents per day, where a traditional high-pressure sodium light uses 33 cents per day. So that's a savings of more than 50%. We also received a grant from Heartland Consumer Power District from their Power Forward Energy Efficiency Program. This $5,000 grant will help to supplement some of the costs of this pilot program. But we'll save about $4,000 per year with just these 6 first pilot neighborhoods, which is about 48,000 kilowatt hours, and puts our payback time at about 4 years for this project. We're also involving the community in this project. The LED streetlight zone sign that you see there, those will mark each of the pilot neighborhoods. And it says, take our survey at siouxfalls.org/LED. We really want the public to let us know what they think about the aesthetics of the light. Do they feel that they are safer at night on the streets? Can they see better? We want their feedback, since we do plan on implementing these throughout the city. Next, we have our low-income residential energy efficiency systems, which is the kit that I passed out to you all. And for those of you that don't have the kit, I have a list of all of the devices that are within each of the kits over there. So these kits are also a partnership with community development. And this is expanded for their furnace replacement program, single-family rehabilitation program, and the mobile home repair program. So if you're eligible for those programs and you receive those, if you receive those programs, then you get an energy efficiency kit. So the kits cost about $50 each, but they're expected to save the average family $100 a year in energy bills. So we really wanted to offer these to low-income families first. We also went to Interlakes Community Action Partnership, and they are also distributing kits to people in Sioux Falls who take advantage of some of the similar programs that they have. This is an ongoing project. We purchased 500 kits. We've given away 34 to community development and 15 to Interlakes Community Action Partnership. So we've got plenty more kits to give out, and so it's a program that will continue. Next is our city facility recycling audits. I've been asked by the mayor to go around to our city facilities and making sure that we're really walking the talk. So we have a residential recycling goal of 25% by 2017. So we want to make sure that we are doing all that we can to increase our recycling internally as well. We do this through recycling audits. We take a look at the waste stream of the facility. Is there a 1-to-1 ratio for recycling and trash? Are the containers standardized? Are they in a location that makes the most sense for people to use them? Once we do this, we suggest some improvements that could be made. Some of the accomplishments that we've had with this program so far, and it's not up here, but in 2013 we were awarded a $10,000 grant from the South Dakota Department of Environment and Natural Resources to improve recycling at all of the 75 plus parks within Sioux Falls. We upgraded 1,400 containers, recycling and trash within the park system. We added lids to protect the recyclable materials in the recycling bins. We standardized all recycling to be the blue containers and trash to be the black containers. So we've had great success with our parks recycling audit. We've also worked with SMG, Ovations, Millennium, Novak, and environmental staff to increase recycling at the convention center and the event center. That was just through looking at what their waste stream was, what we can recycle out of that waste stream, and then better training their staff. We've seen an increase from 20% to 44% at the event center. This will be a launching pad to improve commercial recycling. Once we're able to get a template down that works best for improving recycling at these city's facilities, we'll be able to work with each individual business. Plumbing rebate revisions. I don't want to get too much into this because we will be talking about this next at the Public Services Committee meeting, but for those of you who can't make it, we did do a 12-year look back at our water conservation program, and we have a lot to celebrate. There's been some great successes with this program, but it has been 12 years, so it's time to take a look and see what we can do to even further enhance the program. Through our research, we found that toilets, we can save about 4 times as much water for a quarter of the price. So our plan is to fully invest our public education efforts for their water conservation program on toilets. Just get rid of the rest of the pre-1992 toilets and really increase our water conservation. We've met with the South Dakota Multi-Housing Association, Augustana, Lloyd, Howe, Costello. Most of them, as they've been going through and doing their upgrades at their facilities, didn't know about our rebate program. So now that they know about it, we're happy to work with them on that and be a resource to help them switch out the rest of their toilets. We've also worked with GIS to create a targeted map of the potential pre-1992 toilets, and we'll be doing direct mailings to those customers. My number 2 project is to expand recycling education to communities in the 5-county area. This landfill is served by the 5 counties surrounding Sioux Falls, so it's not just Sioux Falls. So everybody would benefit in the 5-county area from learning more about recycling. So this year was the 4th year that we brought Magic of Recycling to Sioux Falls. We made a concerted effort to offer that program to communities outside of Sioux Falls first. And we had great success with that. We educated over 1,000 students. I had an email from the principal of Marion Elementary thanking me for offering this program to her students. As a smaller school, they don't have the budget to offer some of these programs that some of the Sioux Falls schools do. So it was a big win for us. We're also developing waste minimization education kits. These kits will be available for teachers to check out. I think we're going to do a 2-week span. They can check them out for free. The kits will address core curriculum standards, but will also teach kids about waste minimization and recycling and why it's important. This will allow us to reach more students in further away areas than we ever have before. So this is very exciting. We'll be trying out the kits this summer with some summer camps and educational camps like that, and we'll offer them in the fall of 2015 to teachers. And last, my number 1 job as sustainability coordinator is to increase our public education. So this year we diversified our public education dollars. We cut our radio budget in half, and then we looked at some different avenues that we can use to actually track our return on investment and measure how many people receive our messages and what they do with those messages. We're focusing on water quality, recycling education, the HHW facility, the needle disposal program, and the fats, oils, and grease program. But that's how we spend our money, but that's not the only way that we're able to educate the public. So far we've done 15 events in 2015, so I average about 3 events a month. So I have the unique opportunity of being out within the community and speaking with the residents of Sioux Falls. We do a lot of educational, informational videos through CityLink and PSAs that Mid-Continent runs, but because I'm able to be within the community, this is really how I get the ideas for our projects. Each of the projects meet a goal within the Sustainability Master Plan, but they really are community-driven. These are things that I hear about that the public is interested in, issues that they want to be addressed. So I would encourage you, as some of these projects wrap up, if you hear things from your constituents that deal with sustainability that you'd like me to take a look at, please use me as a resource, and you can work with Jim David, and he can talk with me. So I'll take questions now.
All righty. Very good job, Jessica. I'm a busy lady. I see engineering, parks, community development, multi-housing, landfill, school districts, media, and probably several others that I missed. Quite a full agenda. Councilors, questions. Councilor Staggers.
Yes, I'm just kind of intrigued here with one item that doesn't seem to be emphasized, and that's the Big Sioux River.
Yes.
I mean, let's face it, it's terrible. It's polluted. And I'm not sure, are we really, I know we're going to pay some farmers not to have their, cattle in the river and all that kind of stuff, but are we doing really anything to try to clean up the Big Sioux River and to, allow people to, canoe and kayak and, have a nice time, because it is terrible.
That's a good question. The Environmental Division works closely with water quality with the Big Sioux River. I can say that this weekend we have the Big Sioux River Greenway Cleanup. This is the second annual event. In 2014, we took out 4,000 pounds of trash out of the Big Sioux, and we've expanded our area this year. So we're hoping to double the amount that we take out. We do river cleanups. Last year we partnered with the Iowa DNR, did a river cleanup along the Big Sioux River, Project Aware. That was a week-long event cleanup. So we were sponsors, but we also were out at the event. We had a great time. We helped the volunteers. So we participate in river cleanups. As far as the other water quality programs that are going on, the Environmental Division as a whole takes a look at those, as well as Public Works. So I may need to bring up Mark or Trent to address any specific other programs that there are. And I can do that if you'd like.
Yeah, because that's something I wish we would have a goal, that we want to clean up the Big Sioux River by such and such a date, but it doesn't seem like we have any goals.
We do, and that's probably a good stepping off for another presentation. Jesse Nyans and our environmental team, he really represents the city in what we call the Central Big Sioux River Watershed Group, and that stretches north of Brookings to south of Sioux Falls. A lot of different strategies, from manure management to erosion practices, to the filter strips that we've been buying for easements to keep the cattle out, keep the E. coli out. The pet waste program that Jessica highlighted was one of our first ones. There's a lot of strategies. Before we launched into doing any of those, we asked for, let's invest in a master plan. And so we brought Respect in from Rapid City, very credible water quality firm, and they established the master plan, and now we've been checking those off. So let me do this. Let me actually have Jesse kind of roll up a presentation for you, just like Jessica's done today, and we can give you more on that. But ultimately, it's probably taken 100 years to get to its state, and it's going to take generations to correct what's been done. But the two biggest things we can do is control the erosion that's going into the Big Sioux River, and also control the E. coli. Those are the two biggest impairments, and there's a lot of strategies that are underway to do both them, and we've seen the ag community really be a part of it and embrace it. But I'll bring Jesse back in months to come.
I guess tonight too, Mark, we have a couple of first readings regarding cleanup, or monies that will be used to fund cleanup of the Big Sioux River. Did you want to talk about?
That's right. Tonight will be the second reading, and so a part of the loans that we take out on the wastewater system, if we agree to implement strategies to improve the Big Sioux River, they incentivize us and they reduce our interest rate on our loans from 2.25% down to 1.25%. I think the loan that we're taking forward tonight is about $580,000. For us to avoid paying interest, we agree to put that as principal and then invest those dollars in the watershed. So, tonight you'll actually take an action where in lieu of paying interest, we're actually taking that offset and investing it up north. But we'll come back. It's May, so what I'll do is probably by sometime in June have Jesse Nyans come back and kick that off. I would also say that we've actually, this will be the third Big Sioux River Summit where we've harnessed a lot of people all along the watershed to just harness their expertise and their funding to start implementing the strategies to improve the Big Sioux River. So.
Thank you, Mark, for bringing up the Water Summit, because I did attend that last year, and I intend to attend it again here this summer, because it does take a concerted effort. Not just, there's only so much that we can, as a city, do. I mean, because much of this water is flowing in from north. So, and we have a responsibility to the communities to the south too. And so the mayors, and I might have the name wrong, but I think it's something along the line of the Mayor's Big Sioux River Basin's annual summit, and it is designed to bring in the other cities north and south of Sioux Falls, the county governments, the ag users who obviously have a big impact and depend a lot on the river for their resources as well too. Bring them all together into one conference, and I know that. You know, there was some, I would encourage you to attend this summer, because, I mean, it's a great opportunity to maybe involve your own University of Sioux Falls with different things that they can do in the educational branches. But this is really a community effort. This isn't something that just we alone can achieve. And again, it's the responsibility of everybody along that entire basin.
Councilor Erpenbach. I'm sorry.
As long as we're on this tangent regarding water and away from sustainability, if you'll just indulge us for a minute more. There is also a community organization, a brand new 501c3 called Friends of the Big Sioux River, and they have a press conference on Thursday, and they have an event, a social event on Thursday evening at Sharapa Place. And we have all been invited to that so that we can learn more about our roles in this same project, not only as members of the City Council funding the things we're doing, but as individual citizens. And I would remind you, Jessica did talk about Saturday morning. It's River Cleanup Day, and I hope you're all there.
Yeah, it is a fun event, and even if you can only come out for one of the hours, or come out for the whole morning, but it's very harsh on the aquatic life with all the trash that's in the river, the tires, the plastic, and so in a very short time with this is the first year that Jessica and her team have organized it, so there's multiple spots all along the Big Sioux River where we'll cover the entire bike trail loop, and I know we'll take out tons of trash. So, thank you,
Councilor Anderson.
Mark, don't leave. I think this will probably be more of a question for you. Our old landfill that is along the T. Ellis Road. Mm-hmm. Do we still own that property?
No. The majority of that, I believe, is owned by Merlin Roy's Paving. And I'm not sure what that transaction looked like, but I'd have to check on that.
So is that property then considered recovered and it will be able to be utilized for something?
Well, as I understand it, most of that landfill, at least that I recall, was a C&D, more construction and demolition debris landfill, and so it has less requirements on it than an MSW, but let me check on that to get some history. Is there anything specific you'd want me to check on that?
No, I was just thinking that about a month ago we had the solar people come and do a presentation to us. And at that time I was thinking about that property would have made a nice area for solar energy, and I wasn't for sure if we still own that or what process in recovering that property we were at.
Okay, let me correct that too. I'm aware that Merlin Royce owns land adjacent to it. Let me research the property ownership and come back to you.
Thank you.
Councilor Kiley.
Again, I'd like to commend Jessica for her efforts and for Councilor Erpenbach turning my microphone on. Then I can conserve my voice a little bit too, along with conserving water and everything else here. But again, I'd like to commend you for your efforts here. It's, I mean, the more recycling that we can do in the conservation of energy, it's a great savings to the city, the educational aspects of your projects, so that we can help get the word out and spread the word, so that the savings, we can realize even greater savings going forward. But I believe that I'd had a conversation with Mark prior to the meeting here today that our efforts are paying huge dividends. And I think the number that Mark had presented to me earlier was that our population's increased by over 30,000 people, but we're using up to 1 million gallons less water, despite an increase of 33,000 in population. And a lot of that is due to these programs that you just highlighted here. So that is just a fantastic effort. And that's what we need to do, because our natural resources, a former biology teacher, and I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, but they are limited. But yet, a lot of times we conduct ourselves in such a fashion that they are unlimited. But, you know, our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren are going to be living in an entirely different world. And we need to make the efforts now. So, great job.
Thank you. I should just want to say that the 1 million gallons of water that we save, that we don't have to source, we also don't have to treat either. So it's a win times 2.
Absolutely. Good point. Thank you.
All righty. That should do it. Well, if you liked this program, you're going to love our Public Services Committee agenda. We're going to be talking about expanding the toilet rebate program. So, for everybody, stay tuned. We will adjourn our informational meeting, and it is 5 minutes to 5. At 5 minutes after 5, the Public Service Committee will convene. So, meeting adjourned.